Hello, I'm George Humphreys from Ashridge Canicrosses in the lovely Hertfordshire countryside. We're going to talk about getting started in Canicross. Ideally, try and find a group local to you where you can meet up with people who are already doing it. Groups spring up all over the country. Canicross is growing at quite a rate and more people are wanting to do it. If you can get along to these clubs, they'll help you go from never having done it before to coming back off your first run with a big beaming smile across your face. They'll have equipment like belts to use. They'll have bungee lines. They'll have different styles of harness. That's all to help you get out and enjoy a positive experience when you first go out, and most importantly for your dog to have a positive experience when you first go out. They'll help you and introduce you to what Canicross is, what will happen on a run, what your dog will do, what you want from your dog. They'll introduce you to the commands that you're going to use, like to go forward you want to command like on, or if you're traditional, hike. That tells the dog we're going off now. You may want a booster one to get the dog to really put some effort in. On top of that, you'll want a steady type command to actually let the dog come back to you. When you're going down a hill, for instance, you don't want the dog to go off at 150 miles an hour because your legs will be flailing around in the wind like there's no tomorrow. You'll lose your balance, you'll fall over. So you want a steady command to check your dog, to bring it back to you. Some people on downhills actually teach the dog to come back to heel. They don't want the dog out in front and pulling them, so they teach the dog to come to the side. And you use a heel or something like that, which you taught in obedience. So we're going forward. We come to a junction. Which way you want to go? Again, you're going to use left or right, or I use right, left, just to enforce it. You can use G or HAW. They're the traditional commands. When you go out as a group with your Canicross buddies, whenever you come to a junction, even if you're following, issue the command just before the junction. The dog will turn and follow. You're just enforcing the command. What I find when we're starting dogs off is when they first go out, the Canicrosser will go, "Oh, good boy, Josh," and their dog will go, "Hello, you've called my name." Yes, the dog will turn around and look at you. That's not what you're encouraging. So when you're starting, it is actually a lot of the time better to not use the dog's name when they go on. So don't go on, Josh, because as soon as you mention Josh, most dogs will turn around and look at you. So you go on, and the dog will go forward. If you find they turn around and look at you when you say on, just let them take a contact to start with. Once they get used to taking a contact, then introduce the command. So it's no different from training in any other sphere. Eventually the dog will go, yes, the forward is what it's all about, because they'll start to get the adrenaline buzz just the same as we do when we go running. They'll start to enjoy themselves, and then you can quietly introduce the commands. You can quietly later on introduce the names, so you can differentiate if you're running, say, more than one dog. Or if you get addicted so much that you go and start running with rigs and things like this, you'll need to be able to command your individual dogs. Some dogs, you've spent your life since puppy training teaching your dog to be by your side at the heel. That's great. You keep that. You don't lose that. You still work on that. Encouraging your dog to pull, you just don't tell it off when it goes out in front. It's wearing a harness. The harness will feel different on a dog's body to when it's in a collar. So you allow it to take the bungee line out front and you then follow it. So you're not reprimanding the dog for going out in front. One thing you must never do is run past your dog. Your dog, you want to go out in front. If the dog comes alongside you or goes behind you, then stop. You don't want the dog to be behind you. You don't want, well, you should never drag your dog, full stop. But you want your dog to go in front. So if your dog stops, you stop. You wait for the dog to go off in front again, and then you follow it. One of the advantages of going out with a group is the dog will normally pick up the pack mentality. So they'll see all these other dogs and they'll want to run with them. So they will actually see all these other dogs running off down a trail and they'll follow. Now, I mentioned a trail there. It's actually easy to teach your dog to go in front on a narrower trail. If they've got a big wide open space, the dog goes, where do you want me to go? If they've got a trail, a dog will follow the trail. So you use that to your advantage. To get the dog to pull, they might go out in front and they might not pull. You've got to try and encourage it to move forward faster. There's lots of ways you can do that. You've got to encourage it to chase something. That's one way of doing it. Now you can have a friend out on a mountain bike in front, or if they're so attached to their mummy, they can't possibly leave their mummy, you put the mummy on the mountain bike in front and somebody else runs the dog, just to get it to learn that it's all right to go out in front and take a contact in the harness and pull. And they encourage the dog forward. Another way of encouraging your dog to pull is to put the harness on the dog, put the line on the dog, and attach it to something reasonably light, that it's not going to hurt the dog, say like, I don't know, pillow or something like that, just so that it's going to give a little bit of drag on the ground behind the dog. And then you walk alongside the dog at his head. And that will allow the dog to feel the pull of the pillow, the drag of the pillow, and you will be encouraging the dog forward. But that's if you have to train on your own. So ideally, go out with other people. You can also use an experienced dog. As long as they're compatible, you can put it alongside a more experienced dog. And the more experienced dog will actually show the junior dog what we're doing. It's a good way of teaching them the commands as well, because as you say, if for a more experienced dog, as you say left, left, they'll go left. And if the junior dog's on the left, it will have to go that way because the more experienced dog will cut across it. If it goes right, right, it will tend to go that way as well. So you can use a more experienced dog as a team to actually train as your junior dog. But if you go out as a group, you'll find your dog normally clicks. Some click straight away. It may take a few weeks, but they do click and they do suddenly go, oh, this is fun. And that's what you have to make it. You have to make it fun. Don't put a competition head on, oh, I've got to get my dog pulling. Just make it fun. The more fun you make it, the more your dog will want to work for you and the more that they'll give you. If they do give you a nice pull, don't milk it for hours. Stop after, say, 10-15 minutes, praise the dog and call it a day. You want the dog to pull, but you don't want to wear the dog out. So just enjoy it. Make it a game for the dog, make it fun. When you go out for a run, you do not want to feed your dog directly before you go for a run. You risk colic and things like that. You want to feed your dog at least 2, preferably 3 hours before you go out for a run. Allow them time to digest their meal. When you've finished your run, again, don't feed your dog straight after a run. Allow it to calm down for an hour or 2, and then you can give your dog something, maybe a little small something an hour after it's run. And it's the same with fluids. Allow your dog to drink before the run is fine. After the run, allow the dog to sip, but don't allow the dog to gulp masses of water. If you allow the dog to gulp masses of water straight after the run, you run the risk of getting bloat, and you do not want that. If you are just going out for a gentle jog in the forest, then to warm up your dog, the same as you would literally just start off nice and gently and then pick up your pace. You may want to go and walk the dog around for a while beforehand to loosen its muscles up. But if you are competing, what you are going to have to do is concentrate on warming the dog up to make sure the dog is ready for that explosive off the line I'm going. You don't want a dog to be operating with cold muscles. So you want to walk him round, then jog him round, so that his muscles are nice and loose and nice and warm, and your muscles are nice and loose and nice and warm. So you would treat them exactly the same as you would treat us. And with humans and dogs, prior to any run is dynamic. Post-run, you can do static stretching. So remember, you don't want to be doing lots of static stretches for you or your dog beforehand. You want to get the muscles moving, you want to get them warm. You want to extend them, yes, but do it dynamically. Okay, there are people out there like Galen Therapy, a lot of their people are familiar with Canicross. They'll be able to show you some good massage techniques to warm your dog up beforehand to get those muscles nice and loose and nice and relaxed. When you come back from your run, what are you going to do? Yes, you're going to let your dog have a little sip of water. You're going to control it. Now, the dog's been out and running. Their adrenaline will have been up. If they've picked up an injury whilst you've been out, they'll run through it 9 out of 10 times. So you want to get back and check your dog over. You want to check the pads to make sure there are no thorns or anything. So give him a good old feel over, make sure he's fine. If you stop out on a run, there's nothing to stop you checking his pads are fine when you're out on a run. Anytime you're out, you want to be on top of your dog's welfare. So, getting started with your dog, ideally find a local group. If you can't find a local group, find a friend. If you have to start on your own, you can do it. Just find single track to do it. Start off gently, go on the web. There are people out there who will help you getting started over the web. They'll offer you advice in what to do, what to wear, and the equipment to use. That's a separate video. And remember, Canicross is a sport, yes, but number one, it's being out there, having fun with your best friend. You'll both get fit, you'll love it.